Hi, everyone. How has your day been? I'm really excited to be really part of these kind of observability cons. I was there last year, and I was totally smitten by some of the things like adaptive metrics, Bela, and those kind of things. So I just can't wait for you guys to hear our journey. So I'm Sai, the head of platform engineering at Dabur, and I'll just quickly go through our observability journey at Dabur. So with the basic introductions, let me just try to finalize all the formalities. Dabur. So Dabur, we are basically a multi-cloud call capturing company. We have partners around 215 globally and resellers who sell our product. As you guys can see, we capture more than 1 million calls a day across multiple verticals like different industries, like let it be health or retail or finance, even councils, those kind of things as such. And we also have conversation intelligence. That is, we've got our own in-house AI capabilities with which we can actually give deep insights into the calls that we capture, plus things like sentiments and like all the other transcriptions and those kind of things. So that's a bit about Dabur. Our headquarters are in Melbourne, but we are a global company. We've got a global presence across the globe with majority of the technology team based in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, and also like in UK and other parts of the world. So yeah, let's quickly go through our journey. OK, so at Dabur, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to basically have a single, unified observability experience, which is scalable, reliable, as well as a managed service. And of course, we want it to be consistent across our platform and applications. So let's see how we've actually gone about in achieving and whether we've achieved this goal or not at the end. Now, I just can't start without telling why the head of platform engineering is on the stage. So let me just tell a bit about me and my team. So I'm the head of platform engineering, where we also own the service experience and operations. So just a bit of a glimpse, the team is not just responsible for managing our platforms or infrastructure. What we also do is we also implement and maintain our cyber and security practices. We also maintain and implement our delivery and observability tools. In addition to that, we are also the recipients of our operations. So we also have like an operations center where we are the first responders of all our alerts and everything. So this is nothing but our journey as the basic custodians of observability, along with the support of Dabur's engineering team. Now, legacy observability. So I was really amazed hearing about Tally Group's observability journey. Pretty much, I've heard about similar experiences last year in the ObsCon. So I can actually vouch that there are many companies who are pretty much going through the same journey as us. So at Dabur, we used to be a mix of self-hosted observability, like we had our own self-hosted Grafana, our self-hosted Kibana, which is the logging capability, and then we were also a bit of mix of like AWS OpenSearch and AWS Managed Grafana, et cetera. So as you guys know, there are definitely some problem statements with a mix. We are pretty fragmented. As you guys can see, it's a bit all over the place, and it does come with some of the pain points that you can clearly see. So first and foremost is a high operational maintenance. Given we've got systems which are self-hosted, it does involve a lot of effort from my team to basically upgrade them, maintain them, and obviously keep looking after them. That does actually take a lot of my team's effort, given we're also a pretty lean team. The second thing is scalability and performance. As and when the company grows, and as and when we kind of start capturing more information and more calls, the requirements and the needs for having like a really scalable and robust observability platform increases. What that means is, again, more effort on our team to add more volumes, to add more compute, and add lifecycle management, and always being on top of it. Security risks. So given half of our observability is self-managed or self-hosted, we are always on top of making sure we need to patch, we need to address the vulnerabilities, or also be on top of like access controls. Alert fatigue and data overload. So I've heard about this in some of the previous presentations. The more complex and more alerts and the numbers, the volumes increase, the more amount of effort required for us to actually even cherry pick what's the actual alert and what's not, and the noise. Run costs. So all this obviously comes with high cost. Like because it's fragmented, we've got multiple systems. Even though some of it is self-hosted, obviously the efforts involved by people involves cost as well as some of the other SaaS vendors. And last but not least, single pane of glass. Always context switching, moving between different consoles or different user interfaces, trying to identify where the pain point is. So this is all basically some of the reasons why we've started exploring going into like an observability capability that actually helps us resolve all these issues. And the timing was right because, as I said, we were also trying to move away from some of our self-hosted infrastructure. So we also wanted to find a right tooling that actually helps us provide that managed capability. Why Grafana Cloud? So one of the main reasons why Grafana Cloud was the ease of transition and implementation and minimal change management. My team and the rest of the engineering practice at Dabba, they are pretty used to the Grafana interface. We've got different flavors of Grafana, as I said, self-hosted, a bit of AWS Managed, etc. So it meant minimal training or minimal change management internally, and also the transition or migration. So it was more like plug and play, where we were able to integrate with ease. Scalability guaranteed, no need to really worry about adding more compute or, like keeping an eye on everything and keep worrying about when things happen, will things fall apart. So all we had to do was just kind of ingest all our metrics and logs, and everything else was taken care of. Secure by default, again, we don't have to worry about patching or vulnerability management, access controls. It was all actually pre-built in and taken care of. And managed service, what else do we need? Something that we love, like, to reduce the operational overhead of the team, where the team can obviously invest more in like innovation or automation, and we don't have to really worry about everything else. That's the beauty of it. And of course, cost effective. By moving into Grafana Cloud, we've pretty much reduced our run costs on observability by 25%. To add on top of it, there were some of the other things that really stood out. Grafana Cloud provides infrastructure as code capabilities. My team, we are strong advocates and champions of using Terraform. So we had multiple modules from Grafana in Terraform that we used, and it also resonates to keeping it consistent, where we can keep it consistent within our platform as well as our engineering practices. Grafana Cloud provided us with a multi-stack architecture. As I've said, because we are a global presence, we have to make sure we align with geolocations, data sovereignty, as well as compliances. So that was pretty much ticking the box for us. RBAC capabilities, again, access control. Grafana Cloud had really good RBAC capabilities, which actually made us enable and give the access to different roles based on the users and their responsibilities. So that's one of the main reasons. Not to stop here, but these were some of the key highlights why we chose Grafana Cloud. Next, I'll give a really high snippet of our journey and a bit of a high-level timeline. As you guys can see, we've started our journey with reviewing the capabilities of Grafana in Q4 2024, where we were just trying to compare with what's up there to offer, what we've got. So pretty much making sure that we are getting more to what we are investing. And once that's done, we've done a proof of value where it's people obviously kind of always say POC, but we always say proof of value. What's the value we are getting out of it? And once everything is done, it was pretty much sitting with the people in Grafana, trying to work out our commercials, and then then that's it. We decided to migrate. I would definitely say and call out thanks to the professional services in Grafana, which have actually helped us with accelerating some of our migration. They were there to support us with best practices, or when we had issues or any technical issues or the best implementations with Grafana Alloy. I think we've made the most of the Grafana professional services in actually making our entire migration and transition pretty smooth. And that's where we are, where since then we've started migrating, and then we've started optimizing, and then it's just a journey that we are taking. Grafana is basically our strategic monitoring partner as well, so it's just onwards and upwards for us. This is just to give a snippet of the products that we use at Dabur, and just not limiting to it, but some of the key callouts. Obviously, we started with metrics and logs. We actually started with more than 1 million metrics series that we ingest, but thanks to adaptive metrics, we've got a option to optimize it and kind of also make sure we're getting the most out of it with less noise. Logs, synthetic monitoring. Again, I'll go a bit more into the synthetic monitoring. And currently, we are migrating to Grafana IRM. So the migration is in progress with the, trying to complete it by end of this quarter. Grafana is just not any day-to-day observability platform. It does offer a lot more, and some of the key things that I want to call out here is Kubernetes monitoring. So Dabur is a big Kubernetes shop, both on Azure and AWS, so we've definitely made the most out of the Kubernetes monitoring that came from Grafana. Custom integrations, we've actually leveraged some custom integrations from Grafana, like CloudWatch, Temporal, things like that, which I'll go into more details later. Custom dashboards, so we, as I was mentioning, Dabur has our own AI capabilities. So we've used some of the dashboards and custom integrations from Grafana to also monitor our AI usage based on tokens and all those kind of things. In addition, we've also been customizing some of our own auto-scaling. So HPA, for all the cloud gurus, we've used some metrics from Grafana to also define the auto-scaling of our containers in general. The next set is just I'm going to show you guys a bit of a snippet or screenshots of some of our dashboards. These are just some of the favorites that we've cherry-picked, but just not limiting to these. Our implementations are pretty spread across our entire platform and application. So this is application monitoring at a glimpse. So what I've got is just 2 screenshots. One dashboard is basically our token usage of our AI models. So one of the dashboards on the left is basically your LLM tokens based on the different AI models that we use across different regions. What this gives us is basically the ability to identify the tokens being used across the models, which helps us with comparing the usage of the multiple models from different AI providers, and thus also helps us with capacity planning and cost optimizations on our AI providers. The second one is another application monitoring. We are a call capturing company, so that pretty much gives us the stats of the number of calls we've been capturing and how many of them have been blank, because blank calls are obviously noise for us, or it actually means there's an issue with some of the calls that are being recorded. So that's basically giving us a snippet of all our call capturing services in general. The next ones are some of our platform favorites. I did touch base a bit on the Kubernetes monitoring. So the screenshot you see on the left is basically our Kubernetes monitoring. So what it does is it gives you an overview of the total number of clusters we have in the region. It gives you an overview of the number of nodes, the number of pods, the number of containers, and pretty much everything. So we have been using some of this monitoring to actually give us alerts on critical things like if a node goes down or if a pod goes into a crash loop. And we also use this Kubernetes monitoring for capacity planning. I did hear the word SaaS economics a lot. So, like FinOps is something that I'm pretty close to. So we use this to also cost optimize some of our cloud spend based on the performance of our Kubernetes clusters and the compute. The other one you see is a bit more deep dive. So it's basically a core DNS observability. So this again gives us like a bit of an metrics on our core DNS usage. And just one thing I wanted to highlight from this is this dashboard was actually downloaded from Grafana. So that's the beauty of it. We've got many pre-built dashboards out there where all you have to do is just plug and play. So that's the core DNS is just from the Grafana website where we've just downloaded and implemented it. That's again making sure we've got some idea on the usage of our internal DNS requests, which actually helps us identify a production issue that we had due to the limitations of the DNS hits on our platform. So that dashboard definitely helped us actually tweak it and improve our DNS queries internally to the platform. In addition to this, we do have other monitoring like Elasticsearch, et cetera, that I didn't get a chance to put it out here. But we do have like custom monitoring where it shows the health of our Elasticsearch nodes, how their performance is, and those kind of things that the platform definitely uses day in, day out. Next one is some of the custom integrations. Again, the one you see on the left is basically a custom integration of AWS CloudWatch that we've integrated for monitoring AWS Managed Kafka. So we've recently done a big transformation from self-hosted Kafka to AWS Kafka, and we've used the CloudWatch integrations to basically build some observability and alerting on the MSK, where we've got like it tells you a snippet of the usage, and we've got alerting based on any lags or any queues that actually pile up on Kafka. And the one on the other side is basically our Temporal integration. As I was mentioning before, we use Temporal for our workflow management, and that basically gives you like the activities that go through a workflow, their performance, and the volumes of activities. Again, that dashboard is also pre-built. We've got it from the Temporal community where they've built the dashboard for Grafana. So again, this is just the beauty of having some of these things which are already defined for us, where you just integrate and plug and play. The next slide is a glimpse of Synthetics. So at Dubber, we basically use synthetic monitoring for browser-based health checks. So we've got multiple web portals. So what we use the Synthetics is to basically make sure that all our front-end portals are up and running. So that's just basically the slide, the screenshot on the left where it shows you like the uptime of the Synthetics. We've got a probe that hits our website pretty much every 5 minutes to actually say if our website is up and running, because this is pretty critical for us. Without this, we do have like P1 incidents from our customers. And the Synthetics, the browser-based Synthetics, does open a lot of opportunities. I do know, like Brian was touch basing earlier on performance, like front-end observability, pretty much like your time to first byte, or the time to the first paint when you're just companies. If you've got strict SLAs on your websites and the performance of the websites, I definitely say that the Synthetics definitely helped. Recently, also with the introduction of the secrets management on the Synthetics, we were actually able to basically put our passwords and usernames in the secrets rather than putting it in a script. So that definitely helped us with our Synthetics rollout as well. Last slide, this is my favorite slide. I know we've been talking about adaptive telemetry, and such a good segue to move from adaptive telemetry to adaptive metrics. So this is basically giving us a glimpse of the savings that we've achieved from adaptive metrics. What you see at the left is pretty much it's pretty much a dollar figure of the number of metrics, because the volumes of metrics defines your cost consumption. And with adaptive metrics, I think the beauty of it is, I've also heard it many times, like complexity simplified. I think adaptive metrics actually helped me give that intelligence that, okay, I don't have to really go and check what's the volume of metrics that we are sending, how much of it is noise, and how much of it is real usage. I think the beauty of adaptive metrics is it's all pre-built. It's all in the click of a button, where all you have to do is just review it, and then just click it, and it immediately applies to it, and it just aggregates all your metrics. I think what I loved about the adaptive metrics is also the fact that you can undo it. For example, you go and apply an adaptive metric, but after a month or two, someone from the engineering team comes and tells like, hey, Sai, I need that metric because I want to start, like creating a dashboard for it. The fact that it was so easy to undo, and now you've got a Terraform module for it as well, where you can actually put all the exemptions of an adaptive metric into a Terraform and then just apply it there. I think that's the beauty of it. So yeah, like we've really made the most of it. We are just waiting to also try starting leveraging the adaptive logs and those kind of things. So this is really at a high level of what, just a short glimpse of Dubber's observability journey. As I said, it's onwards and upwards. So what's next? The next is, I know our CTO has been discussing with Grafana on obviously kind of starting to look at things like tracing, profiles, front-end observability, and not to name even the performance, the K6 performance testing modules. So yeah, that's where we are, and yeah, like I'm just happy to be here and share some of our journey with all of you guys. Thank you so much.